At 61, Johnny Depp is finally speaking in a way he never dared before, and it's leaving everyone stunned. After years of silence and messy public battles, he's peeling back the curtain on choices that once confused the world. The man who lived decades under Hollywood's brightest lights now admits the life everyone imagined for him was never real. What he's revealing opens up old wounds that fame never healed and confirms what millions quietly suspected: why he truly walked away. In 2023, Johnny made a move that no one saw coming. No interviews, no final red carpet, no goodbye. He packed his Los Angeles home and vanished to Somerset, England. One day he was Hollywood's star, the next, gone. Reporters waited and waited, but Johnny said nothing. Months passed, almost a full year, with no photos, no sightings, no studio visits. The man who once filled headlines had suddenly vanished. But this wasn't about mystery, it was survival. In a rare local interview, Depp revealed, "I'm not trying to be seen anymore. I'm trying to find peace." That one quiet sentence spread everywhere, revealing more about his soul than any red carpet ever could. Behind it was a man bruised by years of accusations, betrayals, and painful losses. The silence he found in Somerset wasn't escape, it was healing. His massive 800,000 square meter estate wasn't about luxury, it was about simplicity. He woke before sunrise, walked slowly, read outside, and rediscovered moments fame had stolen. Friends said he barely spoke during those early months, not out of anger, but pure exhaustion. After decades of being photographed, judged, and adored, the quiet countryside finally gave him something Hollywood never could: peace. Even in isolation, something powerful began to grow inside Johnny. He wasn't disappearing, he was rebuilding, and his comeback didn't start on a film set, but on a canvas. While the world wondered if he'd quietly retired, Johnny was pouring every emotion he couldn't speak into his art. Painting had always lingered in his life, but after 2022, it became something deeper. His therapy, his escape, his truth. Each brushstroke carried memories he never voiced. Every color and shadow reflected the battles no one saw. As he painted, people noticed something stunning. Johnny Depp wasn't fading, he was finally coming back to life. In Somerset's calm, he created pieces that were raw, surreal, and painfully honest. They revealed the scars of betrayal, humiliation, and the collapse of a public identity he'd spent decades building. So when his collection, A Bunch of Stuff, premiered in New York in 2024, it didn't just grab attention, it stunned everyone. Collectors expecting his usual pop art were hit with something hauntingly real. Instead of bright pop portraits, people saw haunting, dreamlike scenes. Fractured images, faded colors, and faces that felt close yet distant all at once. These weren't paintings from a man chasing fame. They were pieces of a soul trying to rebuild itself. Limited prints sold for up to $50,000 each, with many snapped up before the gallery doors even opened. Within months, sales passed $5 million. Proof that even far from Hollywood, Johnny's voice still echoed powerfully just through color instead of cameras. Critics called his work visual silence, a quiet scream, a man still standing. But for Johnny, it wasn't about fame or fancy words. He once told a friend painting let him express heartbreak, betrayal, and years of feeling misunderstood, the things no interview could ever capture. Somerset's calm gave him the space to finally release it all without interruption. But art wasn't his only outlet. Music came rushing back, the same passion that fueled him long before fame. The moment he picked up a guitar again, something inside him reignited. It was like opening another door to healing. And this time, he walked straight through it with the Hollywood vampires. Long before tabloids turned his life into chaos, music was Johnny's safe place. So when he stepped away from Hollywood, it made perfect sense he'd return to the one thing that always felt real: music. Reuniting with Alice Cooper and Joe Perry, he hit the stage again with the Hollywood vampires. But this time, he wasn't chasing fame or adrenaline. He was playing just to breathe. Their European tour became a quiet rebirth. On stage, Johnny wasn't the wild, unpredictable Jack Sparrow anymore. He played with calm, controlled focus, every note grounding him. Fans at massive festivals like Germany's Wacken Open Air and shows across France instantly felt it. This wasn't performance, it was healing in real time. During their emotional cover of David Bowie's Heroes, his voice carried a raw honesty no one expected. It didn't sound like a tribute, it sounded like survival. Behind the scenes, bandmates noticed he'd grown quieter, often sitting alone with his guitar long after rehearsals. No more wild nights, no more drinking. Since late 2022, he'd chosen sobriety, not through rehab or headlines, but through sheer willpower. The transformation was undeniable. He'd lost weight, moved with a quiet steadiness, and carried himself with a calm kind of power. His eyes looked clearer, the tension that once gripped his face finally gone. Locals in Somerset said they'd often see him walking before sunrise, slipping through the countryside like a man learning to breathe again. He'd visit the tiny library he personally funded or sit in his garden with a book, letting peace sink in one morning at a time. Music became his meditation, not performance. During a private soundcheck, Johnny quietly told a friend, "I don't have anything left to shout about. Stillness is louder." And for the first time in years, his life truly matched those words. But even with peace, the ghosts of his past didn't fade. The trial, the accusations, the betrayals that unfolded for the entire world, they lingered. Facing them meant revisiting his darkest chapter, the Amber Heard trial and its aftermath. Nothing scarred Johnny more than those years locked in a legal and emotional war. What began in 2016 with accusations spiraled into one of the most public, brutal Hollywood battles ever seen. He stayed silent at first, believing truth would surface, but that silence nearly destroyed him. Studios cut him off before any real evidence was even seen. Disney dropped him from Pirates of the Caribbean, and Warner Brothers asked him to leave Fantastic Beasts, moves that stunned millions of fans. Headlines worldwide branded him guilty before he ever stood in court, and by 2018, his reputation was in free fall. When The Sun printed a piece calling him a wife-beater, Johnny fought back, suing for libel in the UK. But in 2020, he lost, and that verdict shattered what was left of his image. Tabloids painted him as broken, unstable, a man spiraling into addiction and ruin. He withdrew completely. No interviews, no premieres, no appearances. Friends said he felt deeply betrayed, not only by Heard, but by an industry that turned its back overnight. They described him pacing rooms in silence, fists clenched, trying to process the endless rumors. Then everything changed. In early 2020, a leaked audio clip surfaced, Heard admitting to hitting him and mocking the situation. Overnight, the internet exploded. Millions began demanding the world take another look, flooding social media with the words that would redefine his story: justice for Johnny Depp. In 2022, Johnny filed a defamation suit in Virginia, not for revenge, but to finally take back his voice after years of silence. For 6 tense weeks, the courtroom became a painful window into a relationship breaking apart. He spoke of losing part of his finger, of years of chaos and emotional strain. Over 30 witnesses testified, some describing Heard's aggression behind closed doors. Every day felt heavy, raw, unforgettable. When the jury ruled in his favor, it wasn't triumph, it was release. The verdict didn't fix him, but it finally ended years of torment. Johnny disappeared for 2 months afterward, writing in a private letter, "I didn't fight to win, I fought to survive." The legal victory cleared his name, but the emotional scars ran deep. Still, something inside him shifted. This wasn't a comeback, it was a quiet rebirth. When the trial ended in 2022, something inside Johnny shifted forever. The anger, the sleepless nights, the fear of being misunderstood, he finally let them go. What replaced them was silence, peace, and a slower way of living he hadn't known since childhood. Somerset became his quiet refuge. Locals described a man who moved gently, blending in like any neighbor, not a movie star. They'd spot him at sunrise, reading in his garden or leaving book donations at the small village library. For the first time in decades, Johnny Depp wasn't acting. He was simply living. His body began to heal along with his spirit. He grew leaner, healthier, not for a role, but for himself. A local doctor even noted his liver had improved and his heart was strong. Since late 2022, he's stayed sober, not through headlines or rehab, but through quiet commitment. Those who meet him now say the same thing. he carries peace. Nothing revealed Johnny's transformation more than an art event in France. When a reporter carefully mentioned Amber Heard, the room froze, expecting tension. Instead, Johnny met their gaze and said softly, "The past is over. It's time to move on." The silence that followed said everything. No anger, no bitterness, just peace. It wasn't about the words, it was about how he said them, like a man who finally stopped carrying his pain. The scandals, betrayal, and heartbreak no longer ruled him. He wasn't chasing revenge or begging Hollywood for forgiveness. He was done performing for approval. Johnny had learned to exist without the pressure, to live without armor. Yet, just as he settled into his quiet new rhythm, something unexpected called him back. In 2023, after nearly a year of silence, he stepped onto the stage at the Cannes Film Festival, returning to cinema not with noise or drama, but with purpose, starring in Jeanne du Barry. It was Johnny's first major public appearance since the trial, and when the film ended, the crowd rose to their feet. A 7-minute standing ovation filled the room. But it wasn't just for the movie. It was for the man who had survived years of chaos and still created something beautiful. He didn't soak in the applause like a comeback king. Instead, he looked shy, even stunned, like someone who hadn't felt kindness in a long time. His return wasn't about power or revenge. It was about freedom. Jeanne du Barry reminded everyone of his quiet strength, while Daydrinker proved something deeper. He was finally choosing art that spoke to him, not the studios. For the first time in decades, Johnny Depp wasn't returning as Hollywood's creation. He was stepping forward as himself, steady, calm, and finally free. Director Maïwenn later revealed she chose Johnny not for controversy, but because no one else could embody King Louis XV with his depth and quiet power. His performance wasn't just a comeback, it was a message. The era of blockbusters, franchise pressure, and Hollywood expectations was over. He no longer cared about fitting the mold. He wanted truth. Johnny began choosing roles that mirrored what he'd lived: pain, wisdom, and quiet resilience. That shift became clear when director Mark Webb offered him Daydrinker, an introspective drama alongside Penelope Cruz. Webb said the role wasn't a hero or villain, but a wound drifting through his own life, and only Depp could make it feel real. Then came Terry Gilliam, who offered him something wild, a role as Satan in Carnival at the End of Days. Gilliam called him uniquely able to show darkness with inner calm. Even with new offers coming his way, Johnny didn't rush into anything, and he definitely didn't soak up the sudden wave of attention. He stayed grounded, reminding everyone he didn't need Hollywood anymore. If he returned to filmmaking, it would be for the art, not the spotlight. This new chapter isn't about chasing fame or proving anything. He's choosing slowly, carefully, and always on his own terms. Each role now reflects a man who's stripped away every label, emerging softer, wiser, and more real than anyone expected. Where his path goes next is uncertain, but for the first time, that uncertainty feels like freedom. Johnny Depp isn't chasing old glory. He's finally living a life that truly belongs to him, built on peace, art, and honesty. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.